Iris Chaim is an incredible woman, and her story is even more incredible. And I'm very, very lucky that she could come to South Africa and that fortuitously she had some time to spend with us, because I think everybody should know her story. God knows how many times every one of us have sat there and felt sorry for ourselves and thought, oh, life is unfair. Things don't seem to be going my way. I'm worried about my health. I'm worried about my career. I'm worried about my relationships. I'm nervous about this or that or the other. And you sometimes need to shake yourself right and figure out that there are way more important things. And those important things can give you such perspective. And I hope that none of us have to go through what she's gone through, because I don't think there is anything harder in the whole world. But she's the most positive person. And if there's any secret to that, we're going to find out what it is today. So, Iris, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Thank you that you invited me.
I'm so pleased you're here. So let's just give everybody the story, because I think that's the most incredible thing. It's happened now in the last few months that you've had to go through what no mother ever wants to go through, the loss of her child. And not just the loss of your child, but the fact that this is Yotam, your son, who was kidnapped on the 7th of October last year, on that horrific day when everybody was thinking, well, it's going to be like any other day.
Mm-hmm.
And it just changed everything for the world, not just for Israel, not just for Gaza, not for America, not for Europe, but for the whole world. And your son was kidnapped, and you held a torch for the longest time, and you were positive, and you had an idea that he would get out and he would come back to you.
Mm-hmm.
And then he, through luck or through incredible intelligence or whatever it might have been, managed to escape.
Mm-hmm.
And he was one of 3 people who escaped from captivity under Hamas, and was tragically and mistakenly killed by the IDF. They were putting up their hands, and the IDF thought, these are terrorists.
Yeah, it's not exactly like this, but...
Well, tell me how it went, because I'd rather hear it from you.
So my son Yotam, he was 28 years old. He lived in Kibbutz Kfar Aza, one of the 3 settlements that were attacked severely by terrorists in the 7th of October. In Kibbutz Kfar Aza, there were 800 terrorists in 7th of October, and he lived in the neighborhood just near the fence of the kibbutz, 20 meters from the fence. So they were the first row that terrorists attacked. He was kidnapped at 10:44 a.m., but he was in contact with us all the 4 hours since 6:30, 6:29. I'm talking about that in my talk. And for 65 days, he was held in the tunnels of the Hamas. They were together 4 people. One of them was free in the deal, in the November deal, when the Israeli government managed to take out 110 hostages back. One of them was a Thai person that was kidnapped after 5 days that he was in Israel. And he was with Yotam, with Alon Shimriz and Samer El Talalka. There were 3 of them together. And after 65 days, the terrorists were killed by IDF. But in this incident they were killed, the Golani soldiers didn't know that the hostages are there. So they were free for 5 days. They went out in Sajaiya for 5 days. There were 3 people, and they were out, and they found a place to hide, and they walked 1 kilometer until they reached Israeli army. They was shot, Samer and Alon first, and Yotam was wounded. And in the last minute, when they already thought that he is a hostage, one soldier didn't understand, and he shot. I must say that our army, they didn't, they couldn't know. They couldn't know that it is hostages because there were so many times that the terrorist was dressed like Israelis. They talk Hebrew and they try to cheat our soldiers. Then they bombed in their faces and they killed them. So the order was everybody that you see, you must kill.
It takes an enormous wellspring of positivity and optimism and strength for you to get over that. And not to get over it because who knows if you ever will, but to be able to carry on with your life. You have 2 other children, Tuval and Noya. And I'm sure that a lot of it has to do with them. And you've got to keep going for them. But, I mean, what did you think? How are you updated about this? And when did you get the news that this is what had happened?
First of all, in the 15th of December, it's happened. And then we knew just very basic fact, Yotam was killed by IDF. That's all. When he tried to, when he escaped Hamas and was identified by mistake as a terrorist. After 3 days, the first thing I said, not because of my children, because of myself, my Israeli identity, that I'm not angry. I'm not angry at the soldiers. And my husband, which was also a soldier 40 years ago in one of the Israeli wars, he also said, I'm not angry. We are not angry. So first thing we did is just to acknowledge that there are some other people in the other side, that they are also suffering now, the army, the soldiers. The soldiers of Israel, they are people. They are not machines. They are not killing machines. They are human beings. They are children. They were very young, those. Sorry.
It's okay.
So I thought about them. I thought about their mothers.
Yeah.
They're also Israeli citizens and what they are feeling now. Of course, everybody in Israel was shocked in that day that Yotam was killed and Samer and Alon, because first of all, they waited that they will come back and everybody wanted that something good will happen, that the soldier will bring them, not to kill them. So this issue, what happened in the 15, my son was killed, but also all Israel was in shock and in trauma, another trauma inside the trauma. And people like him said, the 15th of December was worse for us, for Israel, because in the 7th we didn't know what's happening.
Yeah.
But the 15th, it was like this, so close, that they will come back. And I said what I said. I sent a message to the soldiers that we are not angry and we are not blaming them. And we want them to come to our house and we want to hug them. We want to tell them that they must continue fighting. Because if they will not fight, Israel will not be. So this was very important for me to say to the soldiers. They came to our house, four soldiers. We didn't know who shot Yotam, but we hugged them. We just talked about Yotam. We told them who Yotam was, and that I told them then, in the same day, that I have this idea that Yotam is not angry also. Because it's hard to say it, but I had this feeling that Yotam would prefer to die like this than to be murdered by the terrorists in the 7th of October. And that he have this chance to run away and try to do his best to come home. But if he will not come home, then the other choice is just to die as a free person.
Which is what he did.
Yeah. And that gave me a lot of this powers, this strength to continue by not not telling this story as a victim story,
I
but
see that.
as a choice of Yotam.
Iris, a lot of people talk about forgiveness and they talk about not being angry. Where do you think, I mean, I understand the logic of what you've said now about how, you can't be angry because you've figured it out logically. It was nobody's fault. Nobody wanted this to happen.
Yeah.
Anyone in that position might have done the same thing. And that from Yotam's point of view, he would rather have died a free person. I understand that. But emotionally, where do you draw that strength from?
First of all, I'm a mother of Yotam. So Yotam was a very challenging child. He had a lot of issues in his life. He was very, very funny and very charismatic and musician, but he also had depression and anxiety. And I think to be his mother, I needed to learn a lot to change, not just Yotam, also Tuval, my son, my bigger son. Very, very challenging children. And I think this is the best school. And I learned in the years, Tuval is 32 now, Yotam was 28, almost 29, to be able to control, not to be automatic, I say, not to use my automatic feelings, not to be immediately angry or immediately judging or immediately criticized. This, and plus I'm also a palliative care nurse. So I was very, very involved in dementia disease. And when you are dealing with dementia, you receive a lot of behaviors of the dementia person that it's not like what you want to see. It's very, very different. He's doing the opposite thing than people need to do because they don't understand. His brain is not functioning. And there, I really saw how the families are judging and blaming and be very angry about the person and try to change him, try to fix the situation, try to fix reality that it will be fit to them. And this was very special for me. This is what I did. I was special in this, not to change the reality, but to accept the reality. And I did it for many, many years. And I taught also this. But you're right, when it's your son, I was supposed to break, and I was broken for 2 days.
Wow.
2 days I was totally on the floor, couldn't think that I will continue life. But then I think I opened the door of my strengths and methods and all what I knew. And I started to act by that, to remind myself what I know, that yes, this is the reality. Yotam died, but he could die also as from a disease or any other way. And then I started to think about not why it's happened to us, but try to understand what is like the story here of Yotam's life, why it needs to happen, not why blaming in a blaming way, but for what it's happened, what I need to understand from that, what I need to learn from that, what Yotam want me to learn from this. And this is the way. That's what I'm doing. It's painful. You see, I cry and I'm crying a lot. It's not making it easy, but it's making it a little bit easier.
Right. I remember when the story came out, that was in December last year, and people were quick to blame the IDF. People who didn't lose anybody were angry. There were people within Israel who were furious and said, oh, well, you see the cycle of violence and blah, blah, blah. for you to reach out to them, I think that probably changed a lot of people's minds. There were many people who must have seen that and thought, if this family can do that, then who am I to complain? It kind of puts people in their place, even though that's not your intention. Your intention was pure. It was to actually bring people together and get through it together. But did you sense that there was a change in people's opinion once they found out that you'd invited those soldiers to your house?
Yeah, first of all, when I talked to the soldiers, it was just for the soldiers.
Nobody knew?
No, it was just, I gave it to one woman, that her husband was one officer, very big officer there, and just just the soldiers of this unit heard. And then later, it was in the army. They passed it to all the soldiers in all the units in the army. So it was very important for me that the army will continue, not other thing, just these soldiers, just the army continue fighting because we need you now. And then I understood, and then in the evening of that day, I remember the day, it was 20th of December, I heard that in the television in Israel, they're attacking the army, they're attacking the soldiers, all the panelists in the news. And I said, okay, now, and we were in the middle of our 7 days grieving, Shiva. And I didn't went to no interview. I didn't want to talk to nobody. I said, after the Shiva, I will talk to you, but in the Shiva, no. And then I asked from, I don't know where, give this to the media. Give my talking, what I told, my message. Give my message to the media. And people told me, in the minute that it was in the news, all the people that talk about the army just shut their mouth.
Right.
Yeah, nobody talk anymore. And then after the Shiva, when I went to talk in the television, they tried to ask me. They asked me, "But you are not angry at anybody? How can it be? Nobody? Maybe the officers, maybe the government?" I said, "No, people, please." You will not take from me anger. I'm not angry. How? Why? How?
It's extraordinary. Yeah.
And I said that this war, it's a new war for us. We don't know how to. Our soldiers, even the government, even the highest officer, they didn't imagine a war that there can be a baby go out from a tunnel, a old person, old woman, a hostage, and a terrorist. So who are you that you will be angry? This is a new thing for everybody. So it's so easy to blame, I said. You are sitting here and you are blaming. So why it's helping? It's not helping. And also because I'm coming from a medical place, I'm a nurse, and I think I'm 34 years I'm a nurse. So 36 years. And I saw that this is like the very, very automatic thing for people to blame. The doctors, especially. Doctors and nurses. When the doctor said to a person, your father is going to die because of cancer, or you have a cancer, or maybe you have a cancer, the first immediate reaction is to find the person to blame.
Yeah.
It's because of this, it's because of the medicine, it's because.
Right.
And I'm a little bit spiritual person. Not a little bit. I'm a spiritual person.
Sure.
And I believe that death is not because of something. Death is part of our life. And when I look at this, I think, okay, you will blame somebody, but it's not really because of this person. He was there in the shooter, the soldier. He was there. He shoot, but not because of him Yotam died. Yotam, I think he was supposed to die that day.
What do you mean by spiritual? You're a spiritual person, because I think that is a source of enormous strength to a lot of people, and I think for a great many people, it's also something which gives them peace, helps them to understand things that are beyond our human comprehension, because we don't like to, hear horrible things. We don't like to see horrible things. We don't like to lose the ones we love. And we try to find explanations.
Yeah.
And as you say, blame is not necessary. If you are at the level you're at, I'm not sure I could do that. But tell me about that spirituality.
So first of all, in Israel, sometimes you're confused with spiritual and religious.
Sure.
I come from a very secular house.
Okay, so no from...
No rabbis, no Bible, no book of Tehillim.
Right.
But during my life, I figure out that the physical body, the physical issues that we know, it's not the only thing. We have something else. We have our souls. We have other dimensions. We don't just our body.
Right.
And it was very interesting because I learned to be a nurse. And nurses, most of the nurses, we are very, very physical. We learn how to give a physical treatment, not to talk about spiritualism or something. So I didn't get it in my studies. I got it slowly during my life. To understand that, first of all, the reality is not in our hands. We can try, we can do efforts, we can learn, we can walk, we can have money, we can have houses, we can have. We can do things and try that our effort will work. But a lot of times it's not working. It's not what we are doing. 1 + 1 is 2 in reality. A lot of time, 1 + 1 is 200 or minus.
Yeah.
So I understood that I can do my best, but the outcome maybe will not be what I want. That's it's very, very strong understanding. And Yotam, he did his best to escape, to come to the soldiers, but the outcome was not what we expected.
Was Yotam spiritual too?
In a way, Yotam said in the last year that he knows that there are other dimensions, that our universe is the worst universe in all the
possible ways that you
Yeah, there's so many possibilities in the other places. So he was more spiritual. I think he really felt, and he was very sensitive. Yotam, he was very sensitive. This world was very rough for Yotam. He thought the here is very bad place. The people are bad to each other, and he's right.
Yeah.
In the end, he was right. My spiritual place was to understand that there's something that ruled the world, but it's not the people. You can call it God or somebody or creator, and that we are our bodies, we have our souls that need to we came here for something, for
some reason.
For some reason. The basic reason is to fix the world, to make the world better. Not the world, but
improve.
To improve
Change.
Humanity, to improve humanity.
Right.
Yeah.
On that note, I have no disagreement, and I'm sure you will have none with me either, that Israel is a place of good, and there are things that Israel's doing. Of course, every country has its problems, and of course, every government has its problems.
Yeah.
But it's the freest country in the Middle East. It's the place where you can be who you want to be. You can live in freedom. You can buy things. You can sell things.
Mm-hmm.
You can make an existence for yourself and your family. No one is chased around. No one is treated less than. There are, Muslim Israelis who are in parliament.
Mm-hmm.
And you can criticize Israel. Many people do. But what does it mean to you? What is Israel doing in the world from your point of view? And especially because now your family, your son will always be a part of the history of Israel in a very meaningful way. It's important for us to understand what Israel means to you.
First of all, the basic thing is my home. Israel is my home. I born in Israel in 1966. My parents both born in Israel, 1942.
Wow, so three generations already.
My children are the third generation, and my grandparents came from Romania.
Right.
One part is from Romania, one part from Lithuania. They left half of their families in Europe, which of course were killed and murdered in the Holocaust. So this is the basic thing. And I think this is the most important for me and for my children, that we have a home in Israel. This is our home. We are not having another place. We are not going to any other place. We don't want another place. And unfortunately, this place is surrounding with people that don't want us to be there. That's what I feel. And we wanted to be, all my life, I believed that, like you say, because we are good people, because we believe in a good relations, we believe that things can be good. And what happened to us in the 7th of October was a terrible shock, because of half of the people in Israel believed, and I was one of them, that this will never happen. Nothing will never. There may be people that imagine such things, that the Palestinians will come on us, but I never thought about this. I was the neighbor of them. I lived in Gaza envelope. I lived in Moshav, nice Moshav. Yotam was living in Kibbutz. And it was, we thought, even that they throw missiles on us, that, okay, like again and again, it happens again and again, and we will live like this. In our, not worst dreams, nightmares. No, if you told me this, I was, no, why? No. And what Israel is doing now for me is, first of all, trying to fix the 7th of October. It will never be fixed. Sure. Yeah, will never be fixed. But our army is showing that we are strong. You cannot do it again. And it's a terrible, terrible issue now, because soldiers are being killed every day. And the hostages are still there. And the Palestinians are also, innocent Palestinians are also getting killed. So it's a terrible, terrible time for everybody. I don't see now any way that Israel will again let somebody else attack us and kill us and butcher us. And that's what happens now. For me,
I think it must be very, very difficult to have dealt with what you do and what you've been through, but then it takes a whole other kind of strength to go out on the road, as you are doing, and go all over the world and all over Israel and tell the story and share it with people. I think it's terrific that you are. I'm delighted that you could be here with us today, because I don't know that many people in South Africa know the story from people who were involved, and you were as closely involved as anyone would ever want to be, or not want to be, as the case may be. But when you're going around talking to people, what questions do they ask you? What are the most difficult things for them to understand about your story and the story of Yotam?
So first of all, after the Shiva, in the Shiva, I must say, our Shiva was public in Israel. There was maybe 6,000 people a day coming.
Good heavens.
A day in Israel.
Into your house?
Into my temporary house. It was also a temporary house. We were evacuated from our houses. And in this place, in this Shiva, everybody, because I was already famous in Israel, and I talked for 70 days about hope, about unity, about powers.
And this was before
before Yotam
the incident in December.
I was already, I didn't know that. I didn't know that people are listening to me. And I just said, like you said, I just told it for Yotam, that if Yotam is hearing me from the captivity, maybe he will hear that his mother is very strong, and she believes that you are coming back. And
give you hope.
Hope. I just talk hope. 70 days. And then all my hope was crashed. And in the Shiv'am, I put myself together, and people came and said, they came to hear about Yotam. They came to comfort us, of course, but they wanted to say thank you for all the words, and that I must continue talking. I must continue talking. So this was like a will for me that Israel, people in Israel, I give them a lot of strength. I must continue. And in the 31 of December, 31, 15 days after Yotam was killed, I already stood in a synagogue in Jerusalem, talking with 300 people, just wanted to hear the story, Yotam's story, our story, the strength story, the powers, the hope, because it's not just a story about a disaster. I build my story as a story of hope. And that's what people want to hear now. As you say, people don't want to hear disasters.
Yeah.
People want to hear hope. That yes, we had a disaster day. We had the catastrophe, but we'll not have it anymore. And what we need to do for that. And what people ask, they're not asking. They are just listening. They're crying. They are absorbing the attitude that we can choose to cry and to mourn and to be angry and to blame, but we can also be creative, be positive, be helpful, help other people do things, and everyone choose his way. And it's okay to choose this or that, but I'm giving a choice. And I told the children in Cape Town, everyone have a story, like you said in the beginning. Every one of us have a story. Don't need to be like this story. But in every story, you can invent yourself. You can be the victim of your story. They ate my sandwich. They killed my son. Or you can make yourself the hero of the story. That you are telling the story and not somebody else is telling the story about you. And I think this is the message that it's very important for me. That's why I'm doing it. I'm going really all around the world because I feel that if we spoke before why it's happened to us, why Yotam had to be killed like this, few things. Yotam want to be a hero. Yotam want to finish his life as a hero, and that everybody will hear about him. This is first thing. So for me, it's to continue his name. Was Yotam? Second, it was what are we taking from Yotam's life and passing it to others to be better? Like I said, better the humanity, to make the humanity better place. Kindness, compassion, love. Things that it's not very, very common now in the world, in all the world.
Especially where there's war.
Especially in Israel.
Yeah.
And I'm doing it in Israel, and I'm talking all the time.
Did you just go to America as well?
Yeah, I was there a few times already in America.
Yeah, and I'm sure that there are people there also who are very moved by this, because I think people in the world are also tired of bad news. And when it just goes on and wars carry on, and we've got Ukraine and Russia, we've got this situation in the Middle East now, when they hear a story of hope and of someone who has found a way to be positive about the most terrible thing, I think it just blows everybody away. They're so hungry for that.
It's a way of thinking, It's in everything that I'm looking at, I find the way to think positive. For example, now there are a lot of issues in Israel about this ceremony, that ceremony. For sure, you know all the stories. So I said, okay, I have one Israel. My state is Israel. I believe that we need to be united. So I have very specific ideas that I'm going on them. Unity, positiveness, kindness, not to talk bad about nobody. Even sometimes I think, maybe it's not, I don't like what he said, but I will never say a bad thing about anybody. I will say, okay, it is your choice to think like this. It's okay, but we don't need to argue. I don't like it so much, but it's okay. I don't tell you what to think. It's okay.
It's amazing. I mean, I wish I had that. Maybe one day I'll be wise enough to be able to think like you do.
And I think when I went in the television of Israel, before Yotam was killed, that was the only voice that people from both sides in Israel wanted to hear. It was my voice, because I didn't tell nothing bad.
Judgmental.
No judgmental about nobody. I just said, if I saw something that I was not agree, I didn't say they are not good or they are not okay. I said, right. I think that I just speak about myself, always. And who want to hear, it's good. And many people hear this.
Oh, many people want to hear. I mean, when I heard the story and I heard that you were going to be in South Africa, and you'll tell us why you're in South Africa in a minute too.
Yeah.
And it's to give these lectures, but also for another reason.
Yeah.
That has to do with art, which is a beautiful source of, spiritual enlightenment and happiness for so many people. But how are your other children and your husband dealing with this?
We are basically the same, on the same level of emotions.
They're as strong as you are?
Yeah.
Wow.
Very, very strong.
What a family.
Very, very strong. Of course, I don't want that people think that we don't care or we are not sad. But I always say, I have a palette of emotions that include sadness, grief, disappointment, but not anger and not blaming. This is out of the palette. So my son Tuval is a musician. It took him time. In the beginning, he didn't know how he will start to play the music again. He's also a drummer, and Yotam and him was drummers together. But now he took it to the art. He's an artist, he's a musician, and he's dividing all what he's doing for producing music for the memory of Yotam. So this is what he's doing now, Tuval. He was very angry, very, very angry in the beginning, but I can see how his emotions start to change, and he can take it to production, to creativity, and not leave the blaming, and he understood that it will not help him.
Incredible.
Yeah. Incredible. Tuval is the most he changes himself. I was very, very in the beginning, I'm not angry. I was very clear, but he was not. He was very, very angry. He was depressed. It took him time, but he took himself out of the depression and found the powers in himself. And now it's very interesting. Maybe later I will send you this piece that he made now with a very famous artist in Israel. His name is Bari Sakharov. He's a singer, famous, very famous, one of the famous singers in Israel. You know him? Bari
I've
Sakharov.
heard the name, though. I've heard the name.
And they did a renewal of a song of the Rabbi Cook.
Yeah.
The name of the song is Kanfei Ruach,
which means?
Wings of Spirit.
Sure.
I will
I'd love to hear it.
And this is they have the basic song, and they took it and make it Balkan song. Because my son is playing a Balkan music.
Right.
And they did a version of very, very spiritual, that speak about the powers that you have inside you. And when you need them, you just need to find them. Just call them, and they will come for you. But if you will desert them, they will desert you. Very, very, very amazing. So we have...
How many times have you listened to that?
When I hear it, I always cry. It's very emotional. So I knew this song before the 7th of October. It's strong words. So this is Tuval. Noya, my daughter, she's with me here. She's an artist also. She's a jeweler. She's writer. She's an was writing
Actress?
script.
Yeah.
She's not an actress, but she's writing.
Oh, script writer. Yes.
And she wrote a book already. She's very young. She's 22. When she was 20, she wrote already a book. She have her own way. She's very different from us, but she's very also spiritual. She said to me, if for a minute I lose it, she's saying, Ima, you know that Yotam is in his best place, yeah? Yeah.
And your husband?
And my husband is a farmer. He's very connected, to the roots of the land in Israel. He lives in the Gaza envelope. He was very attached to Yotam. They work together. He's also a drummer, my husband. So they had a lot of in common. And I think Raviv, my husband, Raviv is the name Raviv is drops of rain. The very, very little drops of the rain.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's a very unique name, Raviv.
Uh-huh.
And he's doing the amazing journey. He found his spirituality in him. He went to learn Theta healing now. He's the student of Theta healing, that it's also speak about the souls. And he was like kibbutznik, very, very
rough, coarse, farmer.
Close, don't talk about
and now he's spiritual.
Emotions. God, I couldn't say God in my house. No, what do you say God? Because he's shmutznik, he's from the Shomer HaTzair, he's a youth group in Israel, very, very lefties. Very, very lefties.
Right.
So now he's like, speak about spiritualism and the souls.
That's a big change.
Amazing change. And he was in the lessons now of the Theta healing, and the teacher asked him very, very hard question. She asked him, does something good happen to you since Yotam was killed? And he said yes.
What has it brought you all together?
He said yes, because it's very hard to see that something good can happen.
From something terrible.
So he said yes. There are a lot of things that about himself mostly, that he figures out, he understand. But the basic question is very hard to ask a person after he lose a child like that. Is something good happened to you since then? Yes. He said yes. He was very, very clear about it. And I think this is the way that maybe people can understand that it's their choice to continue looking and examining life with what's happened, not to bury themselves with their children or people that they love.
Sure, that's powerful. Don't bury yourself with your children. And you can't control things, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you never know. This could happen to any of us. It's horrible. I hope it doesn't.
I saw so many, now I pay attention always, but now, especially after the 7th of October, to every time that I see in the newspaper, on the news, about a young person that died. There's so much death. Death is, like I said, it's a part of the life. We are not living until we are not living forever. We will die. Some people die sooner, and some people die and later. And as a palliative care nurse, I saw these people, young and old, and sometimes the old people, they beg that somebody will come to take them already. And I think there are so many, so we need, I think, I see this like this, that again, life is, death is part of our life, but most of the time, we are not treating it like this. We take it as a worst thing that can happen. And this is like a very sad thing. And this is like the spiritualism, what I am talking about. That you can see death not as the worst thing, but as the soul coming back to her heart, to their home. That's what I think.
I think that's beautiful. So what is this other thing that brings you to South Africa? Because this is not on the normal path for everybody who's talking to the crowds that you are all over the world and being invited to different places. Why here?
So I think when I'm going to places, it's usually because somebody wants me to come.
They invite you.
Yeah, I'm not going to Zionist organizations or something. I'm going because people hear my story and our story, and they want us to come. So it was very, yes, like you say, not so common. I had a connection with an artist called Kim Lieberman. She sits here. Kim, she's an artist from South Africa, from Cape Town. She lives in Cape Town now. She used to live in Johannesburg. And she have a special way to... She's an artist. She's doing all kind of art. But in the last, I don't know how many years, she was dealing with something called wild integrity. Wild integrity is people that she find as interesting people, that they have their integrity, but they are very like wild. They do what they want. They speak what they want to speak. They don't care about what other people think. And she did and she's doing something artistic with these people. And she chose me in Israel after the 7th of October. She thought my story will be, this is like very matching to her agenda,
right?
The wild integrity, because as I said, I talk 70 days. I didn't care what other people think. I was very special in my way to talk about hope and faith and not blaming the government and shouting on the left or the right and protesting, just talking very, very loud about the need of unity in Israel. And she found me in Israel. She was managed to find me, and she did the art. And then when she wanted to find me, she talked with my son, Tuval, and she explained him, and he said, okay, we will come to South Africa. And he said, no, it need to be in your house, in your mother's house. But then it was like planned in her mind that maybe she can bring me here.
She would take pictures of you with the objects that you care
Yeah,
about.
and the work is that she asked me to pick my objects that I love, that mean a lot to me, that are part of my history, part of my life. She came to my house. It's a permanent house near Jerusalem, with a team, with a camera person, and she took the pictures. At first, I told her about the objects, what it means to me. It was very, very, very like therapeutic.
Therapeutic, yes.
Therapeutic session, because I digged in myself about every part. It's very nice. Tomorrow we are going to talk about this in a place here in Johannesburg. And because of Kim, she was so she wanted me to come, and she did a lot that it will happen. So that's why I'm here.
Beautiful. Well, we're very,
If it was not Kim, I was not here.
Well, we're very lucky that you're here, and I will play your words over and over again. I think this will be a great comfort to people who are going through something difficult. I think it'll be useful for all of us to prepare you for those moments where you have to be strong, because if you could do it, then there's a little bit of that in everybody, right?
I want to say that one of the most powerful minutes in the story was that I heard, like, we were in a session, a psychological session, 2 days after, in the 17th of December, and I was broken. I was totally broken. I couldn't understand how I will raise my head again. And I'm a person that give help to others, and I couldn't be like a victim of this. I couldn't cry all the time. I couldn't... I was torn. My heart was like torn. So we went to my psychological woman, and she's a psychotherapist. And in this session, it is drama therapy. Drama therapy. She asked from Yotam to come to the room. And in that session, Yotam said, it was us. Yotam was not there, but his spirit was there and we were there. And she said what Yotam would say now. It is the day that he ran away from the captivity. And he said, this is very powerful. I had a choice to run away, and I took the choice. I knew that I'm in a war zone and nobody is waiting for me with chocolate and flowers, and maybe I will be dead. But as the partisans in the Second World War, I choose not to be killed or murdered by the terrorists, by to take a chance, try to be alive, and maximum, if I will not be alive, I will die as a free person. And I think this was the minute that I changed all my point of view about the issue. And I could see that was Yotam's choice. He made the choice, and to see him as a hero. And this is like a tool. You can always try to see behind.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful, your strength, your resilience, your forgiveness. I think it's just remarkable. And I'm so pleased that we got to spend a bit of time with you. Thank you, Iris.
Thank you, Gareth.